like you never seen the light. You're walking like it every night. But I've never seen you dance and I've never heard you sing. So how can it be a single thing?
Thanks, Erin. Thanks, everyone. Fuck, what am I really like? That's a big question. You'll hear all about it. I fucking love talking about myself. I'm self-centered and selfish as fuck, by the way. I know I give off the impression that I'm not sometimes. I try to, but I am. I'm so self-centered and I love it. The world revolves around me in my head. Yeah, where do I start? Oh gosh, I'm not even looking at the camera. Okay. So I always start off a share and guy, like, if anyone's ever heard me talk about trauma, I freaking love talking about trauma. And the only reason I start off like talking about it is because like I honestly believe that it was such a big part of like why I am an addict today. It's like my lifestyle early on in life was it's pretty nice. Like family were all together, lots of siblings, nice house. Very like what the British people would call middle class. Is that just a British?
They would call that in America too.
Very middle class, right? And there were no big traumas, like no abuse, no physical abuse. No one in my family died or anything. It was all pretty easy, right? And I got lots of attention and lots of love. But it was not enough attention for me. And it was not enough love for me. And I always wanted more. And like, I must have experienced trauma. So a bit of stuff that I've learned through my trauma work is that some of the beliefs that we form about ourselves and about the world come through trauma, traumatic events. Something traumatic happens and we make it mean something and we form a belief. It's not the only way, but it's one of the main ways. And a lot of the beliefs that I had about myself growing up, and I identified them like really early on, like 7 years old, were just like negative as fuck. So like, I'm inadequate, people don't like me, I'm inferior, I'm not good enough, I'm not wanted, I'm just, a lot of this like negative shit that we have. And I had that fucking like, I remember being like seven, and being in a playground and at school, and like I saw this. Oh gosh, this is gonna sound really weird, but I saw this like popular kid who was attractive and surrounded by like the fittest girl in school, the most attractive girl in school, and I was just like so aware that that's not what I was. I was like, this guy's cool, he's amazing, that's who I want to be. And I was aware that, like, I looked a bit weird, or I consider myself to look a bit weird, that I wasn't cool, that I didn't have as many friends as him, and I just saw, it's not coming out right, but it's like I just thought, this is what I am, like, I'm not good enough. Fuck yeah. That was at like 6, 7 years old. That's fucking well early in life to figure that out. And like the way I sort of, can I tell the heroes thought like one day it was, I'm going to say it. So the way I sort of got around this, right, was fantasy. I fucking loved fantasizing. And I fantasized that one day I'd wake up, I'd have this amazing superpower, I'd save the world, and everyone would love me because all I really wanted was for everyone to love me. Like, not that much, just everyone in the world just to love and adore me and think I was the best and, be the most popular kid and the coolest kid. Seriously, I was not asking for that much, right? It never happened, obviously. I never woke up with a superpower. That would have made things so much easier. No, I never woke up with a superpower, but I fantasized about it a lot. And I slept a lot as well. That was like, I love daydreaming and just normal dreaming. So whether it was awake or asleep, I didn't really give a shit. I was like a dreamer. The dopey stories are yet to come. There weren't many dopey stories when I was young. Also, I'm only like 28, so like this shouldn't be too long, hopefully. So as a kid, that was basically it. It was like fantasy and sleep. That's how I got through stuff. But I was very aware that I had these like negative beliefs about myself, and I didn't really feel like I fitted in. I basically felt like an alien. Like I just didn't feel like anyone understood me, didn't fit in. I was an alien. And so we moved house like when I was like 7 to like a different city. And I think that it was just like such a shock to my system. It was just like, wow, I lost all my friends. I didn't really understand what was happening. And it sort of just amplified those alien feelings because I was like now in a new city. And it sounds silly, right? So people in this city wore jeans and stuff, and I was still wearing like jogging bottoms and tracksuit bottoms. I was like wearing like hand-me-downs from my dad. It was really weird. I just noticed the difference. And I think also like, so I'm like half Indian, right? So when I was a little kid, I was a little bit browner, kind of like now with a bit of a tan. And I wore my hair like tied up in a top knot, as we'd call it here. And where I went, it was just like everyone looked different, or I looked different compared to everyone else. And it just sort of made all that. I guess it just what did it do? It sort of exaggerated all those negative beliefs I had about myself. It just sort of made them mean even more. And I fucking hated it. And I got into lots of fights. I thought I was a rebel. I thought I could kick everyone's ass, but really I couldn't. And I got my ass kicked a lot. Oh, so bad. I got into so many fights. And this is like, say 8, 9 years old. I'm getting into fights like regularly. And I was just really angry all the time. And if anyone knows me now, like I'm calm as fuck. Like, that's my nature. I'm so chill. So I think it was just, I felt misunderstood and I didn't know how to express that, and it just came out in anger. We can fast forward now. That's like the intro to my life. I thought I was calm. I wasn't. I was just like an angry little bratty kid. And then, so we moved to Birmingham. And what happened when I moved to Birmingham? Oh yeah, fuck. So this is like primary, like junior school. I don't know what you'd call it there, but when I moved to high school, fuck my life. Oh gosh, things just got worse. Like I didn't think I was cool, but I somehow on like the first day managed to fit in with the cool kids, and I was loving life. And then in like about a month in, I get into a fight with like the most popular kid in school. And my popularity basically went downhill. I became very unpopular. And that's when like the high school bullying shit starts. Fucking horrible. And I swear a lot, by the way. I'm really sorry for the recording. Can bleep that out if you want. Yes, that's when the bullying started. And my way of coping with that was, this is about the time I had my first drink. Oh gosh, you're going to hear this story. So I fancied this girl, right? I'm like 12. And I fancied a girl and I wanted to phone her to ask her out on a date, and I was really nervous and shy. I'm really nervous and shy all the time. I was really nervous and shy, so I thought, my dad had some beers in the garage. I thought, let's try one. See how I get on. So I had one, felt that little tipsy feeling, and I was like, I'm going to have another one just for good measure, just so I'm feeling it. And I had another one, and I was like, I'm still feeling a little bit scared. I'm just going to have another one, and hopefully after this I'll feel better. I did that, and then I didn't call her. I was like, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Next day came, 3 more beers later. Fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. And I think like that happened about 3 times, and I finally called. And it was like a 1-minute conversation. It was weird. The date happened, it didn't go very well, just to let you know. But I think that's where I sort of realised that, taking something like a drink or drugs could change the way I felt about myself, give me that little bit of confidence, and I really liked it. And funny story, I think this is a dope story. This is like 12 years old. I was like full on dopey at 12. I go to a New Year's party 12 years old, and Alco Pops, like WKD, Smirnoff Ices. I don't know if you get those in America. I'm going to guess you do. Like 4% alcohol, right? I downed lots of them. I thought I was a rebel. And before midnight, I ended up vomiting, and I had to be taken home, and my parents were pissed. They're like, Ish, what the fuck are you doing? And I was just like, I'm a rebel. Can't help it. I'm just cool like that. Oh, wow. And then, so sort of 12, 13, 14, this is my experimentation, not necessarily with drugs, but I had a couple of friends outside school, and then I did my first, like, Jack Daniels legal high thing, where we smoked legal high and drank, like, a half bottle of Jack each. And when I say half bottle of Jack, I meant probably a quarter each, but it felt like half a bottle of Jack, because I was fucked. And we stole his mum's car. We stole his mum's car from the drive and started driving around, and we were pissed, and it was just like, he's like 14, I'm like 13. I don't even know how he knew how to drive, it was weird. But we stole his mum's car, and we didn't take it very far, we didn't get caught, just brought it back and fell asleep. But we had this experience, and all that sort of stuff that's going on in high school, like I felt so not part of, and so uncool, and so not wanted, and people hated me. And I finally felt like I'd found my place. Like I had a friend who were drinking, smoking legal high, which might as well have been drugs to me at this point. And I felt cool. That's it. That's all I can say. I felt cool, and I felt confident, and it gave me that one-up. Like, even though these people at school were bullying me, I was the one that had drunk half a bottle of Jack and taken his mum's car for a drive and had the legal high. Like, I just felt cool, and I loved it. Loved it. And then I had a few other instances, like 13, where I just got so drunk I just passed out. And like one where I had long hair at this point. Oh, you're going to love this. I thought I was a rock star. I'd been reading Slash's book, Nikki Sixx's book. I thought I was a proper rock star, and I'd get ridiculously drunk and vomit all in my long hair and just not give a shit. Just like walk around and like vomit in my hair. Oh God. I thought, it's like, this is what Slash would do. It's all right. It's cool. Fuck. And I loved it. I didn't play an instrument, by the way. I was just a rock star because I took drugs and drank at this point. Anyway, now let's get to the good shit, the real good shit. So I'm like 14, right? And there's a guy at school, he's like, Ish, do you want some drugs? And I was like, why not? Like, Slash did it. Nikki Sixx did it. My friend does it. Like, cool. And he's like, I've got ecstasy, like e-pills. And I was like, fucking yeah, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. So I went home, and I take this e-pill. I'm like, it takes a bit of time to kick in. I'm just waiting for it. Like, yeah, cool. I'm only at home. Like, I'm not partying or anything. I'm 14. I'm not expected to party, right? And it kicked in, and I fucking loved it. Like, first drug experience, ecstasy. I was tripping, and I just remember like, that coming up feeling. Sorry if this is triggering. I'll stop. No, like the coming up feeling and jumping in the air and feeling like it took me like ages to come back down to earth. And I was just like, why would I not want to feel like this every single day of my life? Like, this is perfect. Like, this is heaven. Like, no other worries in the world. Didn't care about people at school. Didn't care about like shitty home life. I was just like, this is fucking incredible. And after that, you can imagine what happened, right? Like, I just chased that feeling again and again and again. I bought another e-pill. What would Slash do? Fucking love it. Yeah, chase the drugs. And I think throughout the next couple of years, like, I tried a bit of everything. So weed, coke, bit of everything. More e-pills, but they were never as good as the first one. I was so upset by that. I should have just taken 2. I'm like 14, I didn't have much money. I was stealing it from my parents. Like, they had like a bag full of money that they got at their wedding, and I was just slowly stealing it from the bag, and then it eventually ran out. I was like, fucked. So now I had to start stealing it from like, why am I laughing at this? My mum's handbag. That's not funny, but it kind of is. Fuck yeah. There's a lot of money in that. I used it all. So I'm like paying for these drugs every now and again. And incidentally, I had a girlfriend like from the age of 14. I know it's all going on this. I had a girlfriend from the age of 14 to about 23, right? The first text message I ever sent her was when I was high on pills. And it was just the most insane message. I was like, I think I came clean to like, I've just taken this pill, blah, blah, I feel like this. It seemed to work. She went out with me. So just in case, I should maybe do that for Tinder. No, I'm joking. Joking. Okay, so my teenage years, like me experimenting with drugs, right? And just loving it, like loving the feeling of it. Whatever drug I took, even with weed, like the first time I took it, I vomited. I just carried on, just did it again. Just thought maybe it'll be different next time. So my teenage years and me experimenting with drugs. And then I went to university, right? We can skip the next years, they're boring. I had a girlfriend, didn't take as many drugs. It was just like, I thought I was happy, right? Hashtag codependent. Yeah, that's what it was. I go to university, and then there are some dopey stories here. Fuck. It's like I have like a student loan, right? So I just have a lot of money, sort of a lot of money, and I was just drinking every day, like just fucking. I didn't love being drunk, but I thought that it brought out a more confident version of me that everyone would like. So I thought people only liked me when I was drunk, or people only liked me when I was like high, because I became a bit like how I get after a coffee with sugar in. I get a bit more loud and a bit more like out there. So I was just drinking every day to try and like maintain that confident-y exterior thing that I had going on. And really, like a lot of the time I thought I was confident. I was literally just sat in my room drinking. Like it wasn't like outgoing drinking. It was just depressing in my room. And I think even the sort of warning bells were there at the time, but I didn't really listen to them because I thought, fuck it, it's just a bit of drink. Funnily enough, at the end of that year, I failed all my exams, standard, English standard, and we went to Amsterdam, right? Oh, fuck yeah, that was good. So we went to Amsterdam at the end of the summer. I was still drinking basically every day. I'd failed all my exams. It was like, I was just going to retake the year. Cool. So we went to Amsterdam with my brother and a couple of friends, and is when I sort of, before that, whenever I tried smoking weed, I'd get really sick. And I went to Amsterdam and I smoked weed and I didn't get sick. And I was drinking as well. And I was like, wow, I can smoke weed now. Like, this has changed. I really like this. So, oh yeah, man. I came back from Amsterdam and I changed the alcohol for weed. Literally, it's just like a switch. I was like, I can smoke weed now. I'm just going to smoke weed instead. And I carried on drinking a little bit every now and again as well. And I was just, when I went back to uni for my second year, which was like me repeating my first year, it was just a lot of drinking and smoking weed and being sick a lot and not going to university lectures and just failing all my exams all over again. It was ridiculous. Fuck. Anyway, so we can skip these next few years, right? So I'm doing pharmacy at university. And as a pharmacist, I don't know how I managed to pass, but my dissertation was on, I'm getting really excited now. My dissertation was on the effects of cannabinoids in multiple sclerosis. So I fucking aced it, obviously. Smoking weed throughout the whole of the dissertation and whilst doing it and the practicals there. So I obviously aced it, chilling. And I skipped those like boring years where it's just like smoking weed every day. And then I qualified, I graduated, right? As a pharmacist, like I graduated a pharmacy degree and I did my pre-registration pharmacy training at like a shop like near Birmingham. And my boss was But boss wasn't very nice. She was hard on me. It was really not. And I'm not very confrontational. I'm quite soft and jelly-like. So if you like confront me with something or get up in my grill, I'm like, nah, just leave me alone. Like, what do you want from me? You know, all that people-pleasing stuff that we're talking about. And this is where the fun bit starts. The fun, the real gory shit. My dealer at the time, he was in Birmingham, and I'm like about 30 miles down the road, maybe 20 miles down the road. And he was like, Ish, look, I'm not going to drop weed off to you, but I'll drop coke off. Like, if you're going to order coke, I'll come down to you. And I was like, yeah, cool, man. Cool. Works for me. Coke had never really like worked for me in the past. And all of a sudden I took to it. I was just like, wow, what have I been missing out on all these years? Like, why didn't it affect me like this before? And I was just doing coke every day. I freaking loved it. Sorry if I trigger anyone, by the way. You can have a go at me and you can read it to me, like, stop triggering people. But I guess as addicts, we fucking love drugs, right? Like, yeah, I loved coke. It was like the thing that got me. And I started to realise, you know, when you're doing coke and you get a bit of a runny nose and you're not sleeping very well, so you feel a bit rough on the days sometimes. I'm working in a pharmacy and I've got all these drugs around me and I'm like, what? I should probably use some of them, right? So took a few Zopiclones home and used them to try and help me sleep. Didn't really work. A bit of diazepam every now and again if I needed to come down, or like my heart felt like it was going to jump out of me, just calm myself down. And then one day oh fuck, I missed this. One day I'm looking around and a patient returned some Oromorph. We're all familiar with Oromorph, morphine liquid. Oh, yes. Yes. And I'm just like, you know what? It's used for pain. It must be quite good, right? So I gave a sip. I had a sip. You know, that warm, I imagine like the heroin, the being wrapped in a fluffy cloud feeling. It was like that. I was like, fuck my life. I vomited a little bit. That wasn't so great. But after that, I felt amazing. It was like, wow, this is incredible. And that was it. Like, I was gone. Like for the rest of that year, I don't know how I survived. I was just doing coke and drinking morphine. And it started off as like a little sip every now and again. And obviously, it's only got like more and more and more and more. And by the end of this like pre-registration year, oh, funny story. So in my exam, this is like the official exam to become a pharmacist, to get on the register. I've got coke with me, right? I'm well into my addiction at this point. I don't give a shit. And I do the first part of the exam. It's lunchtime. And everyone else is like talking amongst themselves, eating food, you know, prepping themselves for the next part. I'm like, look, I don't want to do that. I'm going into the toilets. I'm doing my coke. And then there's like guys with drug dogs walking around. It's in like this big, what do you call it, NEC, like a stadium thing?
Like arena.
An arena, yeah. And everyone else is like maybe prepping for the next part of the exam. I'm like, I've failed it. It's all right. I'm just going to go and do some coke in the toilets. And ended up passing. And I find it hilarious how a pharmacist on drugs can qualify. It's beyond me. I must be really fucking clever. Or God's on my side. But I managed to pass the exam and I was like, cool, now I have a bit more money to do my drugs with. I was fucking loving it. So I went straight into a job. I was quite lucky. And this is where like the real bad shit went down. So at first I was just working in various pharmacies. And there was one, I did like night shifts. So it's like 7 p.m. till 11 p.m. Very few customers. You lock the door when there's no customers in the shop. So you basically let people in for safety, right? And there's a little consultation room. I was just sitting there for hours, just getting little bits of sleep. I had the chairs laid out so it was like a bed. I was just doing that. I literally had the coke just out on the table. Like if someone came in, you'd know like I was doing drugs. I just didn't give a shit. And my drugs out on the table. and I had full access to morphine. And I'm talking like 500ml bottles at this point. So I'm like living my best life, like taking diazepams when I thought I could and giving them to my friends, like trying to exchange shit like that for better drugs. So if I couldn't have enough money for coke, because I spent a lot, I just like exchanged diazepam for coke or whatever drugs I could get for coke. And then like in between, now this gets even crazier, in between like customers coming in and out of the shop, I'd go out the back, be smoking weed, right? Just fucking crazy. Like not giving a shit about the smell. I've been going on for ages, I'm not. I'll finish soon. Not caring about the smell. Coming back in, smelling of like that residual weedy smell. And just thinking it was fine. Like that, you know, that mad, chaotic, just like, it's okay. Like it's cool. As long as I like get the script out, it's all right. Fucking crazy, man. Yeah. Incidentally, I was reading up about morphine liquid last night, and like people die from taking too much, and it just never occurred to me. By this point, I'm taking like 100 mil in one go of this liquid and just not caring because it was like I kind of needed it. Anyway, it gets even better than this. I eventually land a job where I'm the manager of a pharmacy. So I'm in control of ordering stock in, and you know, anything that happens in the pharmacy goes through me. And this is where shit got crazy. So I was just like, this pharmacy wasn't like a 4 hours a night pharmacy. This was like 9 till 7. And I was in and out of the toilet constantly just doing coke. Like every 15 minutes I was like, I need a wee. And they were like, why are you going for a piss so much? I was like, I don't drink much water, but I just need to pee all the time. It's something about my bladder. You know, the lies that fucking love it. You know, stealing money from the cash register, stealing money from wherever I could get it from, stealing drugs. And my morphine liquid usage got to like 300 mil to 500 mil a day in one go. So like I'd go in the morning, grab a bottle, swig it all. I was prepped for like the next few hours. I could deal with anything. I don't know how I survived. And I was just constantly like, you know, when I was doing boring prescriptions, you know, that boring shit that's my job, I'd like falling asleep and like standing up, like falling asleep and then coming back to him and being like, oh yeah, then just go to the toilet and do a line of coke to pick me back up. And that constant trying to balance it. So I was constantly like, oh wow. I'm sure there was a Dopey story around this time, but I've completely forgotten it. Oh, sorry, I've missed a few out. There's one where I took MDMA and I just vomited all in my hair and I just left it there for like 3 days. That was one. That happened in uni. Yeah, so, okay, sorry, there is. So a patient one day returned these diamorphine vials, right? So I'm guessing it's pure stuff.
Heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do heroin at this point, but I also didn't have access to morphine. So I thought, what can I do with this diamorphine to help me get the buzz? At this point, I'd never like chased the dragon or anything. I'd heard Slash doing it, but I was a bit like, how the fuck do I do it? So I just started snorting the powder that was in this vial. Oh, wow. I was off it. I was just sat in my flat, just like, my girlfriend was around. I was just sat there like properly drifting in and out, like, wow, what is this? It was like the rare occasion that someone returned like a cool drug. I fucking loved it. But yeah, so like there's just, for about 1.5 years, I'm a pharmacy manager. I'm just taking drugs every day. And if I didn't have my morphine hit in the morning, I could barely drive to work. Am I supposed to be like saying drugs are bad? Yeah, no, I could barely drive to work. I could barely function. My concentration was off. I was ratty as fuck. And the things I did, if I couldn't, say we didn't have any morphine in the shop, I'd go to a nearby shop in the same chain as the pharmacist and be like, look, a patient of ours needs this morphine. Can we have some? And I'll get it back to you. I'd take it and literally be on the car on the way back to my farm in the fucking morphine. Like, fuck the patient that's going to me. And like doing deliveries after work at like 10 p.m. because I'd stayed in the pharmacy just to do drugs for a little bit. And like these patients like need my drugs. And I'm just like, okay, but I need mine as well. Fucking love it, man. So this happens for about a year and a half, and eventually they clock on that the morphine has been disappearing every day for a year. Eventually, it took them a year and a half, man. Come on. I would notice that shit straight away. And basically, they confronted me about it. And they were like, look, Ish, we're not going to let you order in any more morphine. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, fuck off. And it basically became really difficult to get hold of my second favourite drug of life. So one day, I order it in anyway. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to put it on the order pad. Let's see what happens. See if anyone notices. And I had this real screw bit. Not a very nice person that I worked with. It's always on my case. And she was like, Ish, we're returning it. I was like, fucking hell, man. This is like the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life. Like, it was just so stupid. And in my head, I thought it was such a good idea. So it's there on the table, ready to be returned. It's just waiting for the delivery driver to come and like return it to the depot or whatever. And whenever you return a drug from a pharmacy, you have to fill in like a little form that the driver signs to say that it's actually been taken, right? It's there with the sort of the signed form. And I'm like, I wonder if whilst no one's looking, the driver can come in. I can take the bottle, the driver comes in, and I'll just rip off one of the bits to say that he's taken it and chuck it in the bin. No one will ever know. Like, no one will know. It'll be like he's taken it, right? And I fucking did it, obviously. I took the bottle. At this point, I'm jonesing. Like, is jonesing like the same? What I mean? Wanting. Oh.
Jonesing, I think that is fine.
I'm jonesing. I want it really bad. Like, I'm starting to feel ill. I'm not concentrating very well. And I took the morphine bottle. I hid it in my bag, standard. And I took the slip off. And I just put it in the bin. No, I kept it in my pocket. I thought if I put it in the bin, it'd be too obvious that I'd taken the morphine. Such a stupid idea. Anyway, so my staff come in and they're like, has the delivery guy taken the morphine bottle? He hasn't signed the slip. And I was like, fuck, I should have got him to sign it. Or like forge the signature and then taken it. Anyway, so it's the worst bit. So I was like, no, I haven't taken it. Like, it must have fallen somewhere. It must be somewhere else. It must be somewhere else. And they're like, no, Ish, taken it. No, like, somewhere else. And I'm not good at telling stories, by the way. Like, I'm not a very good storyteller, but I'm going to roll with it. Anyway. So I'd obviously taken the bottle, right, and drank all of it by this point. And I'm like, Ish, like, what can we do to get out of this situation? We need to make it seem like it's gone somewhere where it's still in the pharmacy, but the liquid's all gone somewhere. So the bottle's broken. So I went out at lunchtime. I got the bottle. I smashed it on the floor. It's a glass bottle, right? It did not break easy. Smashed it. It went into lots of little bits. I'm like, fuck. We can fix this still. We can fix it. Put it in the box. Put it back in the paper bag. And then when I went back into the pharmacy, right, I chucked it in the bin. Fuck, this is ridiculous. I chucked it in the bin. And I maybe wet it a bit. I think I had a Pepsi Max and I put water and like Coke all over it to make it look like it had been in a wet place. And as if I thought I could get away with this. I came back into the pharmacy and when all the staff came back after lunchtime, I was like, guys, I found the bottle. It was in the bin all along. It was in the bin and it broke from that. It must have been on the side, fell in the bin, cracked, and all the liquid just came out of it. That's where it was. And you guys were blaming me. No one bought it. No one fell for it. I thought it was genius. And basically, like, at this point, they're like, Ish, look, you're stealing drugs. I'm like, No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So at this point, like, my drug use is really bad, right? And I'm like, I come up with a clever thing. I'm like, you know what? If I go on holiday for 3 weeks, it will fix me. Like, I'll stop taking drugs and I'll be okay. At this point, I'd tried so many things, like Tony Robbins courses, like spiritual books, spiritual seminars. Like, I tried everything to fix myself and, you know, to be able to use drugs successfully, and nothing had worked. And I thought maybe a 3-week holiday will do it. And some of you might have heard this before. I went on this 3-week holiday to Sri Lanka. Oh, how did I get caught? So they'd clocked onto it, and they didn't. I still denied it, so there was no proof or evidence. And luckily, I had this holiday booked in advance. Like, it was about a few days before I went. So I'm not going to lie, my plan was just to never go back to that shop. I didn't actually go back to the shop ever after that, ever. And funnily enough, whilst I was on this 3-week Sri Lanka holiday, it got to the last week, and I was still, like, the morphine had been so in my system, I was still coming off it. And I was like, I'm not going back to work. Like, I'm not going back to work there. I'm not going back to work. And I called my boss on, like, 3 days before I was about to return, like, I'm not coming back. He was not happy. I got kicked out of the company. I've never gone back since. So bad. Fuck yeah, man. You know, I've hurt a lot of people along the way, and, like, monetarily, like, emotions, feelings. I was like a little whirlwind, man. But I didn't care because I wanted my drugs. I thought I needed them. I'm nearly finished now. I'm not going to talk too much about recovery. I think the recovery is like, I'm still recovering. Like, yeah. Oh, my teeth look really white. Oh, nice. So anyway, yeah. So I go to Sri Lanka, and the guy, it's like a yoga Ayurveda place, and there's a bar there with alcohol, and I'm like, fucking yeah, man. So all the way there, I'm drinking. I get there. I start drinking. I found a local kid who's, like, sold weed. I was like, fucking score. And I'm in the bar like, I think it must be my second day there, and the guy just turns around, he's like, do you want some heroin? And I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Like, I'm coming off opiates. I really want an opiate. So he buys this heroin, and oh yeah, we just started smoking this heroin. It was only once or twice, 3 times maybe tops. But I loved it. I was like, finally I felt like the rock star I'd always wanted to be. I'd always heard about chasing the dragon. And I finally chased the dragon. And the dragon was short-lived, and I wanted more. But just had to start smoking weed for like 3 weeks instead. Oh, that dragon was good. Gosh. I'm surprised that I'm in recovery. I really am. No, I'm not. The worst bit is yet to come. So then I come back and I just pick up coke straight away. Like, you know, all that shit that we try that doesn't work. It's just one of those. And my sister was getting married. This is fucking so bad. My sister was getting married, and sort of in Indian families, like the week before, the brothers are supposed to help out. And I was off it. Like, I was just not present at all. I'll tell the story because it paints drugs in actually a bad light, and I think I've been painting them quite well because they're not good. My mum took my phone off me, right? And I couldn't call my dealer. I owed my dealer $5,000. Couldn't call my dealer to let him know that, yeah, $5,000. That's what happens when you get drugs on tick. They fuck you over. It was horrible. So I owed him $5,000, and he came to my door. And it was really weird, and I didn't answer the door. I'm like recuperating in bed from not taking coke for like 3 days, and drinking vodka from the bottle for like 3, 5, 10 days. And he came to my door, and it wasn't a good thing. My parents and my siblings got really upset about it. And I think before that, because I really just wanted coke, Like I was so desperate for it that I was sort of threatened to like self-harm. Like I had a knife next to my arm and I was like, Mum, give me my fucking phone back so I can get some drugs. Otherwise I'm going to cut my arm off. Yeah. It didn't work. She didn't give it to me back and I didn't do it in the end. I was a little bit upset. I genuinely thought that would work. But I was just so desperate. I was so desperate for drugs. And drink was like, it was getting me through, but it wasn't quite cutting it. I wanted that. Yeah, Coke made me feel powerful and confident. Powerful, I guess. There's something I've noticed about drugs. This is a side tangent. Like, they always fulfilled a need of mine to make me make me feel more confident, or to make me feel stronger, or to make me feel something more than what I was, or something better than what I was. Yeah, they always fulfilled a need, and I always thought I needed them to feel okay. Yeah, until eventually I got to the point where I was like, I'm not okay taking drugs, so I'm not okay without the drugs. Like, what do I do? And that was like my rock bottom. And I was crying out to God. I was crying out to God and like all the people. I was like, what? God, why don't you care about me, man? But like screaming it so all the neighbours and people down my road could hear me. Like, and I got like stinging nettles on my face and it was horrible. I was like, God, you obviously don't give a shit. You just stung me, you bastard. Like, what is going on? I'm like, why can't I do this? Why can't I live a normal life? And then my sister had her wedding, right? So at this point, I turned it down. I wasn't doing Coke. I wasn't doing morphine. I was just drinking like half a bottle of vodka a day. And my sister's wedding, I think. This is nearly the end, promise. So my sister's like, to calm me down and make sure I'm not drinking throughout the whole day, they just gave me some diazepam. And I was like, cool, that'll do the job. So I was calm for like the first half, and then we got to the reception and I went fucking crazy, man. I was just like drinking non-stop. Any drink. Free bar, by the way. Come on, we know how we'd all respond at a free bar. I loved it. Highlights of the wedding, the parts that I remember. I almost fell on a baby in a pram. Like I fell backwards onto the pram. And my friend had to sort of like save the baby. Fuck. My friend had to save the baby. I was assigned 2 friends to look after me. This is how it was. They knew I was going to fuck up. So they assigned my 2 best friends to like take care of me. I went around the back and yeah, this is unrelated to the baby incident. I went around the back and there were like the caterers. There were a few pretty girls there. I did not look pretty at this point. My beard had grown. Me with a beard is not pretty. Me with a beard, greasy hair, and I'm trying to chat up the girl, and it didn't go very well. I was really drunk, and I started getting really like, why do I do this when I'm drunk? I started getting really angry and like abusive, and that's me when I drink. Unless I drink red wine, in which case I flirt really well, but then pass out, and then ambulance people come, and then I wake up when they're there, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing here? I was just having a little nap. The French red wine story. I'll tell that on another day. I managed to make it through the wedding, and then I entered like recovery. And recovery for me, like the first part was, I'm not going to go into the recovery part. We all know. I think we all know. But it was like treatment and then recovery. 12-step fellowship. And, all the things that I really wanted or needed as a child. So like to feel loved, to feel wanted, to feel important, to feel not alone. Yeah, that came to me. To not feel alone, to not feel like an alien. I got that when I came to like my version of recovery. There were so many people there who loved me for who I was. And I always thought, not that I was like a monster, but that people just didn't fucking like me. Like I genuinely thought people didn't like me and there was something wrong with me. And that's like, at least with drugs, I didn't care so much about it. Or at least with drink, I didn't care so much about it. And finally I was in a place where I think people like me for who I am. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure. I don't think people would have stuck by me this long if they if they didn't like me for who I am. I'm not giving them much more than me. I finally came to the place where people like me for who I am and love me for who I am and showed me love and attention and care. Made me feel wanted. And for me, like, when I'm getting all that stuff, I know technically I should be like feeling it within myself and not looking externally for it, but I don't give a shit. Like, I look externally for it, I get it, I feel better. And I don't necessarily need to rely on drugs and stuff or drink and stuff. Yeah. And I did a little bit of work on myself and all that trauma shit. That trauma stuff that we learn about. Just did a little bit of work on myself, and slowly my self-worth and my self-esteem and my confidence started getting a little better. And that's it. Like, do you want me to talk more about recovery?
I don't know.
Do you want me to talk more about recovery?
For the start, you twisting till I love about your life